The Old West they didn't show you in movies. Dust, death, and daily survival captured on glass plates. Subscribe to History Unveiled for the frontier photographs Hollywood left on the cutting room floor.
Dodge City, 1872. Street scene depicting 3 of the town's buildings. Building on left, first dance hall in Dodge City, owned by a man named Jones. Second building, grocery and general store, owned by George O. Smith and J.B. Edwards. Third building, also general store, owned by a man named Wolfe. Visible are a crowd of men standing in street and 2 horse-drawn wagons loaded with buffalo hides. Frontier commerce in motion. One of the most famous pictures of Dodge City, found in most books on the town, believed to be taken between 1880 and 1885. Main Street at its peak, iconic image of Western settlement. Deadwood, Dakota Territory, 1876. General view of Gold Rush Town from hillside above. Mining camp sprawling across landscape. Fortune seekers flooding in after gold discovery. Temporary structures housing thousands chasing dreams of wealth. Within months, this remote canyon became one of the most notorious towns in the West. 1882. The dead body of Jesse James displayed for the public. Jesse Woodson James, September 5, 1847 to April 3, 1882. American outlaw, gang leader, bank robber, train robber, murderer from state of Missouri. Most famous member of the James Younger Gang. Death documented as proof, spectacle, warning. Famous image of Jesse James, shot in the back by Robert Ford while adjusting a picture. Complicated story of betrayal and fame. Outlaw killed by member of his own gang for reward money. Death turned into legend, body turned into attraction. Ada, Oklahoma, 1909. The lynching and hanging of assassin Jim Miller. Citizens outraged at murder of local farmer and former Deputy U.S. Marshal Gus Bobbitt held a long overdue necktie party for notorious Killin' Jim. Gazing upon 4 men hanging there in barn might have shocked some locals, but also made many sigh with relief. Of 4 bad men, not pretty, but deemed necessary. Billy Clanton in coffin. Gunfighter killed during shootout at OK Corral, October 26, 1881. Body photographed before burial. Death preserved for record and curiosity. Tombstone's most famous violence documented. Coffeyville, Kansas, 1892. Dead bodies of Dalton gang following failed bank raid. Left to right, Bill Powers, Bob Dalton, Grap Dalton, Dick Broadwell. 4 outlaws killed by armed citizens defending their town. Bodies displayed in street as proof and warning. John Wesley Hardin, post-mortem. Notorious gunfighter shot and killed in El Paso saloon, August 19, 1895. Claimed to have killed 42 men. Body photographed after death. Another outlaw's violent life ending in public display. Old Style Saloon Number 10, Deadwood, South Dakota. Best known as site where Old West legend Wild Bill Hickok was assassinated by Jack McCall while playing poker, August 2, 1876. Saloon originally located on Placer Claim Number 10, from which its name derived. Fire swept through the mining camp in 1879, destroying original structure. Bar later built at former location. Rare photograph from the 19th century. Cowboys gambling in a saloon. Cards, whiskey, and wages lost. Drinking establishments serving as social center, entertainment hub, scene of frequent violence. Frontier men spending earnings on chance and distraction. Billy the Kid, rare ferrotype kept by Lincoln County, New Mexico Museum, sold at auction 2011. One of few authenticated photographs of notorious outlaw. William H. Bonney, killed by Sheriff Pat Garrett, July 14, 1881, age 21. Legend larger than life. Jesse James Gang, 1870s. Criminal organization operating across Missouri and surrounding states. Bank robberies, train holdups, murders. Gang members photographed together. Outlaws documented like businessmen. Dodge City Peace Commission, June 1883. Left to right, standing, W.H. Harris, Luke Short, Bat Masterson. Seated, Charlie Bassett, Wyatt Earp, Frank McLean, Neil Brown. Legendary lawmen and gamblers assembled. Some of the most famous names in Old West gathered in a single photograph. Rare photograph from the 1880s. Group of Old West bounty hunters. Men whose reputations built on grit, daring, and relentless pursuit of outlaws across vast, lawless frontier. Faces weathered by sun, wind, and countless miles on horseback. Each man carries tools of the trade, revolvers, rifles, a steely stare speaking of danger and determination. Trackers of justice and vengeance alike, chasing desperados through deserts, canyons, and dusty towns. George Maladon, the Prince of Hangmen, earned the moniker while serving as Judge Isaac Parker's chief executioner during the lawless days when Parker served as judge of the federal court for the Western District of Arkansas. Professional killer working for the law. Reputation built on efficiency with rope. Judge Isaac Parker, 1890s, the hanging judge. Gray-haired, serious. Federal judge for the Western District of Arkansas. Presided over 13,490 cases, sentenced 160 people to death, 79 executed. Justice delivered swiftly and severely on the frontier. Clayton, New Mexico, 1901. Outlaw Tom Ketchum being prepared for hanging. Historical photograph documenting the execution process. Scaffold, rope, condemned man. Frontier justice administered before witnesses. Public death as deterrent. Boot Hill Cemetery, Tombstone, Arizona. Final resting place for those who died with boots on. Outlaws, gunfighters, victims of violence buried in the desert ground. Graveyard documenting the frontier's deadly nature. Wooden markers and stone monuments preserving the names of the violent dead. 1870s, buffalo hunters, pile of skulls. Mountain of bones from slaughtered animals. Hide hunters killing thousands for profit. Buffalo population decimated for commercial gain. Environmental destruction documented in stark image. Dodge City, Kansas, 1878. Charles Rath sat on 40,000 buffalo hides in the hide yard of the store he owned with Robert M. Wright. Wright said of Rath, he bought and sold more than 1 million buffalo hides and tens of thousands of buffalo robes and hundreds of cars of buffalo meat, both dried and fresh, besides several carloads of buffalo tongues. Industrial scale slaughter. Commerce built on extinction. Empire Mine, Grass Valley, California, around 1900. Gold miners descending into the mine. Underground labor extracting precious metal. Dangerous work in dark, confined spaces. Men risking their lives for wages and the possibility of a strike. Cowboy watches over Longhorn during a cattle drive. Mounted guardian of moving herd. Long days in the saddle driving livestock across open range to railheads and markets. Iconic image of Western economy and occupation. Near the Nueces River, Texas, September 10, 1886. Band of Apache Indian prisoners at a rest stop beside the Southern Pacific Railway. Indigenous people forced from their homeland. Military escort. Journey to imprisonment. Displacement documented by camera. Fort Washakie, Wyoming, Indian Reservation. Chief Washakie, at left, extends his right arm. Shoshone leader photographed with his people, tribal authority preserved on camera, indigenous resistance and adaptation documented. Bigfoot's camp 3 weeks after Wounded Queen massacre. Bodies of 4 Lakota Sioux wrapped in blankets in the foreground. U.S. soldiers amid scattered debris of the camp. December 29, 1890. Final major armed conflict between the United States and Native Americans. Mass killing documented in the photograph. March 27, 1886. Geronimo poses with members of his tribe and General Grook's staff during peace negotiations in the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico. Apache leader meeting with military authorities. Temporary truce before final surrender. History captured in a formal photograph. Scene in Geronimo's camp. Apache outlaw and murderer. Taken before surrender to General Grook, March 27, 1886, in the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico. Escaped March 30, 1886.
Loup Valley, Nebraska, around 1886. Pioneer family photographed outside their homestead. Parents and children standing before the sod house and wagon that brought them west. Faces weathered by plains wind and prairie sun. Daily survival on claimed land far from civilization's comforts. Many homesteaders lived inside side houses for years before affording lumber. Texas, 1896. William F. Taylor photographed at his execution. Image titled "Texas Outlaw on the Gallows," circulated widely in newspapers and prints. Public execution serving as warning and entertainment. Frontier justice documented to demonstrate consequences and maintain order through visible punishment. The Wild Bunch, 5 members of America's largest and most notorious outlaw band, led by Butch Cassidy, born Robert Leroy Parker, and Kid Curry, born Harvey Logan. Informal trust of thieves and rustlers preying on stagecoaches, small banks, especially railroads from late 1880s through first decade of 20th century. Criminal enterprise operating across territorial boundaries. This gang's railroad robberies forced companies to redesign their safes. Staged post-mortem photograph from the Old West. Deceased outlaw or lawman posed upright for camera. Death documented as proof, memorial, permanent record. Frontier society using photography to confront mortality and preserve final reality behind violent legends. Bodies propped and positioned before decomposition. Around 1932 through 33, Bonnie and Clyde photograph found by police at abandoned hideout. Depression-era outlaws caught in candid moment. Criminal couple romanticized by the press, hunted by law enforcement. Their short, violent spree ending in ambush 2 years later. Tom Horn, complex legend of the Old West. Scout, detective, alleged assassin. Man whose life blurred lines between law enforcement and murder for hire. Convicted and hanged for killing people still debate. Reputation built on violence, ended by rope. Buffalo Bill Wild West Show, Allentown, Pennsylvania, May 9th. Native Americans performing for crowds. Indigenous people employed as entertainers, reenacting battles and displaying riding skills for Eastern audiences. Cultural exhibition turned commercial spectacle. Traditional ways transformed into theatrical performance for profit. Buffalo Bill employed hundreds of native performers over the years. Bosque Redondo Reservation. This photograph documents Dene Navajo and Nde Apache internment. 1863. United States Army soldiers forced the long walk across Arizona and New Mexico. Many prisoners died during journey from starvation, dehydration, exposure. At camp, poor irrigation destroyed attempts to grow traditional crops. Some attempted escape. This image preserves their misery and suffering. Alaska, 1890s. 2 prostitutes show off their wares for camera. Sex work operating openly in mining boom towns. Women advertising services in a region where men vastly outnumbered women. Frontier economy creating a market for companionship and intimacy. Miles City, Montana, 1896. 2 soiled doves photographed in their profession. Another image of frontier prostitution. Western towns where brothels operated as licensed businesses, taxed and regulated like saloons. Women selling what the market demanded in cash-strapped mining communities. Many Western towns required health inspections and business licenses for brothels.